What advice or tips could you offer since you are 69 and thriving as a carnivore woman?
I honestly and truly feel more energetic and younger at 69 than I did when I was 48. I built this monster out of nowhere, this craving monster. The weight loss that I'd been chasing all through my 30s, 40s, 50s. It's so counter to what we have been taught. I can't say enough about it.
Hey carnivores, SB fam, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Bella the Steak and Butter Gal. Hope you all are having an amazing day today. And as always, drop an update down below. Let me know how you all are doing on your carnivore journeys. Today's video, I will be inviting on a fantastic success story. Her name is Laura and she is 70 years young. And she will be sharing all the details on her amazing health and body transformation. If you're new to this carnivore lifestyle and are looking for a community to belong to for reliable information, knowledge, support, and guidance, I welcome you all to join the Steak and Butter Gang community. I host 30-day carnivore challenges every single month alongside fantastic carnivore doctors, experts, and specialists. You will be able to ask questions and learn from all of the amazing experts shown on the screen. For more details, check out the URL shown on the screen, sbgmeetup.com, or click the links down below in the description box. Without further ado, let me bring on Laura.
Hi, I'm Laura. I have been a carnivore for 2 years on Friday of this week. I will be at my 2-year anniversary and started with SBG.
You started carnivore 2 years ago. What was the reason behind wanting to start the carnivore diet?
I had started eating ketovore in July of 2021. And I was very protein heavy, a little bit of vegetable, really no sugars or carbs of any kind, obviously. But for the holidays that year, I had decided to make some sweet treats that a certain keto influencer was showing on her channel. And so I made something for Thanksgiving, something for Christmas, and something for New Year's. And I had been someone who never really had a sweet tooth. And I was using the low glycemic, supposedly good for you sweeteners like erythritol and monk fruit and a little stevia. And all of a sudden, I went from someone who could have cared less about sugar to someone who wanted it 24/7. It was absolutely crazy how much I craved sugar. I saw an interview with Bella with Ken Berry and had just happened to look up the channel. And that must have been right around the end of December. And of course, I heard about the January challenge and priming. They were talking, you all were talking about priming and how that will take care of cravings. And honestly, I think it is the most powerful thing. I know that's going to be a question you're going to have. And yes, it is. I tell everybody now who I meet that's trying to do this, if they can't give up the sweeteners, that's the way to go. So anyway, that's how I came into finding you guys. And when you said that this priming deal would just take care of any cravings, that was gone within days. When I say I wanted sweets 24/7, it was all I could think about. Within days, that was gone. And I have never had it come back.
Nice. Wow.
Never had it come back. I am someone who can moderate. So I know most people cannot. I can actually moderate. I can say, you know, I'm going to have this piece of pie because this is my mother's 90th birthday celebration. And I'll have that piece of pie and then I can walk away, go back to eating my meat and never think about it again. So, and I know that's not something that's common for most people that I have met in this journey for the last 2 years. So I don't know that that's something you want to put in.
Honestly, we will see people think that they are 100% abstainer. Once they understand the priming process and go through the process, I have seen that change. They have that confidence that they can shift and go into a little bit of that moderator mode. And for a lot of them, they will end up going back into priming. But it doesn't sound like you've had need to do that too much. They'll go and take a mini prime or something like that, and they'll just be right back to carnivore. So I hear it more and more all the time, Laura. I'm not super surprised.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. Yeah. That's good to know.
Just for the viewers who come to this channel for the first time and they're hearing about priming, Coach Raymond and you created this protocol alongside Coach Emily. Could you both break down what priming is and why you started creating this protocol?
Well, the reasoning behind it was I saw so many people fall off the carnivore wagon. They stopped doing it, or you even hear some famous influencers that start going into honey, fruits, or whatever. And it kept on making me wonder, well, everything that I've read on the forums back then were like saying the answer to everything is you're not eating enough. Then I was like, well, every time I'm hungry or even remotely hungry, I was going to eat something. And I got to the point where I made sure I comfortably stuffed myself because I was like, that's the last thing I'm going to do is make that mistake. Then I noticed some patterns for myself. The sugar cravings, carb cravings, just like Laura, totally vanished. And it started actually, I started noticing in the second week, it started feeling like this is hard to do. Something I was enjoying the first week, all of a sudden, second week this is pretty difficult. So I was actually doing fasting before I even knew about priming myself. And that was difficult. So I had a lot of white knuckle fasting. When I noticed that this priming just gets you into fasting automatically, I was like, wow. So that's how it kind of developed. And I developed a whole program on it, experimenting with other people. And it's just been great. I mean, overall, I just see so much success from it.
My personal journey with it was that it gave me so much more food freedom and exactly what we're talking about, cravings. And I feel like those are based on our hormonal needs. Those are based on our energy needs. And so you front load the situation and you deal with it up front. It's like preventative. It's like you get inoculated against the downfalls of a zero carb protocol, which is oftentimes people will undereat. So you get it before it becomes a problem. You restore the hormones up front. You get everything going right before you actually have issues with it. And so it's like a reverse engineering. And then it just naturally will bring so many levels of healing. And then we can, fast or, work into an OMAD or whatever it is that we want to do after that. But that beginning preparation period changes everything in your mind and it calms the hormones down, makes your body feel safe. And so then you can move forward and do a lot of healthy things when you've got that safe foundation.
Priming on the carnivore diet is a 2 to 3 week long period of time where the person prioritizes eating 3 meals every day. It preps the body to really reap the full benefits and healing of intermittent fasting and extended fasting. Coach Raymond and Coach Emily have an entire 90-day priming, feasting, and fasting plan, tried and tested on thousands of carnivores now. One of the best benefits, of course, is fat loss and body recomposition, and we see it in our members of all ages. Both men and women see their bodies transform, lose fat, lose inflammation, and get stronger. This is our very own star member, Limitless Lindy, who has lost 500 pounds just by priming and basic intermittent fasting. If you're curious to know more about this priming protocol that Laura has been talking about, Coach Raymond and Coach Emily teach this entire program that includes how to do priming in the Steak and Butter Gang community. They teach weekly classes on how to prime, and they give out easy to follow weekly plans every single week. Just go to the URL shown on the screen, sbgmeetup.com, or check out the description box below for clickable links.
Laura, you said that you conquered your sugar addiction or those cravings for sweets 24/7 within a couple days, coupling carnivore diet with priming. I would love to know, in those first few days, what types of foods and meals did you eat?
I had ground beef, hamburgers. I love steak. But at the time, it was funny because I was always a New York strip person. Mm-hmm. And I was eating a lot of New York strip. I was probably still doing chicken wings, eggs, definitely. Your egg pudding. I know everybody talks about your egg pudding, and it really is. It's so satisfying and comforting, and tons of butter. Honestly, it's like, well, they said eat it. I'm going to eat it.
Awesome. You didn't have any questions about weight loss or anything like that, or weight gain on that? Weren't you scared a little bit?
No, I wasn't. When I started the Carnivore, I actually had dropped about 17 pounds, but there's another part that goes with that. And I was trying to lose some weight. So even if I went back to gaining some of that, I didn't care because I lost that weight very rapidly. And it really wreaked havoc with my face. I had a lot of loose skin on my face. It really aged me. Wow. So I really wasn't thinking that way. I just wanted to shut off this insane craving I had that I had never had. Basically, you have your limit on it. You're saying you're going to do this for a week. And then you're going to start feeling sick of eating that much. And then you're going to tweak that down a bit. I did the first month, and that was all fine. Within 2 weeks, you feel the difference anyway. So I decided I was going to do the second month and joined the next month's challenge. So I joined February as well and just picked up where I left off in the January calendar. So I was probably a week and a half, almost 2 weeks delayed. I went to Italy this year, and I'm traveling to Italy for the first time. I'm not going to not try the food there. So I even had a little pasta, because everyone tells you it's so different there. And it truly is. You don't have that heavy feeling, but it doesn't mean I wanted to go out and have pasta every night. Everyone goes on and on about the gelato. Well, my last day there, guess what? I finally said, oh, well, that one looks interesting. It's funny because looking at them, and I don't know, I was with a friend. She loves ice cream and gelato. So every day she had it at least once a day, if not twice. I'm going to say almost every day we were there, she had some. And so I was standing there with her looking at it all the time. And it didn't even look interesting to me, truly. But finally, we had taken a train to a beach town, and we were getting on a ferry from there to go to another area. And there we went into a shop, and there was one that looked. So I thought, all right, I'm going to try it. And I had it, and it was wonderful tasting. But guess what? I was over it. And didn't need to go back, didn't think about it the next day or any other day.
Laura, did you move on into their fasting schedules, and how far along did you make it?
I did complete the 90-day challenge. I did through the 72-hour fasting, and I did have to rely on butter through most of it. And I know you said that you could do that when you were saying a teaspoon, and I was probably having a tablespoon, but to be very honest, but I made it through that way.
So you're not a natural faster beforehand? Okay.
No, never. I had tried it once or twice before I heard of SBG. And honestly, I couldn't even do 12 hours.
Wow. You've come a long way then. This is amazing. Okay.
Yeah. Intermittent fasting, I can do 16 hours. Now, it's not an issue. I have done some of the sardine fasting. I'm sure you've heard of that. That's been out and about too, just to see how that was. And of course, that's totally different because you're still feeding yourself. But I had been tracking numbers during that time, and I did get good ketones and good glucose levels. And so it worked nicely, but it's not something I do all the time. It's just, if I just thought, well, I want to try this and see this now, having been doing 72-hour fasting before with just a little butter. I know Emily does dry fasting and water fasting, and it's like she does it effortlessly. It's not me.
I mean, Laura, I've known you and spent a lot of time with you over this period of time, and the recomposition that I have seen you go through has been dramatic. I mean, I have seen you at lots of different spots along the way, even in this last year. I want to know your secrets for recomp. I want to know the exact protocols that you think you have gotten these results on carnivore. What has helped you get there?
I think part of it is my activity level. I do play pickleball several times a week, although that can be very intermittent. Like right now, we're not playing that much. It's cold. I actually had some eye surgery recently, so I was out for a couple of weeks because of that. I was traveling, but I lift weights, and I do spin class. I'm always doing something to stay active, but not excessively active. So if we can step back to that rapid weight loss in Carnivore, one of the things that had happened was that I had hurt my foot and had been all summer playing pickleball, spinning, hiking, biking, you name it. I was doing it. I was playing pickleball 21 hours a week, which is just crazy. Yeah. So doing all this activity, and finally I did a hike at the Indiana Dunes State Park, climbing a dune, and that was the finale. I thought, I've got to go back to the doctor and see what's going on. We've been treating this foot since April, and it wasn't getting better. So it turned out I had a stress fracture in my left foot. So what does he tell me? You're going to be in a walking boot for 6 weeks. And then that 6 weeks turned into 6 months.
Oh, no.
Yes. So couldn't do anything. I was turning pages in books and swiping my finger on my iPad. That was my exercise. So I went from someone who was at the gym 5 times a week, along with that 21 hours of pickleball and biking and hiking and doing all these other things to doing nothing. And all I had done was change my diet. But one of the things that I always go back to is my youngest son, who works out a lot and is, kind of a gym rat guy, but in a good way, had been telling me for a couple of years, I think you work out too much, Mom. I think you over exercise. But how does that ever equate in any woman's mind when you're trying to lose weight that you're exercising too much? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So anyway, so here I am now. And probably in that first 2.5 months, that's when I dropped 17, 18 pounds instantly. But again, much too fast. It showed in my face, hair loss. And it continued on. I was in the boot from September 10th until February 14th of the following year. But that's when I started carnivore in January of that year, and I'm still in the boot. I'm hoping that all that meat heavy eating was helping as well.
Well, I saw your guns. It's showing up just fine. Yeah. And weightlifting is part of what you're up to?
I do. I lift, but I don't do anything insane. I had actually kind of transferred over to what Stephen had recommended at the time, which was lifting to failure. I was doing that. But since then, I've heard about a different protocol. And you're basically timing, and it's called slow burn. And it's similar in the sense that you're working with one weight, but you're just moving super slow. And so that's how I do it now. And again, you're done in probably 45 minutes. You don't hurt your muscles this way, but they're active and they continue to build and do what they need to do. So the weights, I'm for so many women think, oh, I can't do weights, but oh my gosh, it's the best thing you can do. And even if you start off with 2, 3, or 5 pounds, you're going to build up. And it's the most important thing I think you can do for body recomposition.
So you worked out before going ketovore and carnivore. And what were your results?
I was probably in my early 40s. I was either at the gym or doing cardio dance, things like that. Walking with neighbors. I joined a gym probably, 30 years ago now. And I was doing spin classes and Pilates and weightlifting classes and some cardio dance and Lord knows what else. So I was always very active. I've always had muscle, but I had a bulk over that muscle, always. And I'd always joke and say, well, gosh, underneath all of this, there's muscles, you just can't see them.
And that was true.
My mother would always refer to me. She's like, oh, you're muscular, but you look bulky. And, you're lifting too much and whatever, and that was her way of trying to explain what she was seeing. And now going back in the pictures, I definitely can see that. So carnivore has taken a lot of that bulk and it's just gone away. Wow. And underneath you're seeing the musculature that was there anyway, because I've always been a stronger person.
It just recomped you, took away that layer, and then that's what made you look a lot better, but you still kept all your strength and then some.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I have not lost any strength.
That's
it's
awesome.
just that you just see more of the muscle definition now.
Yeah, a lot of viewers who watch carnivore content in general, they are women who are in postmenopause and in menopause. What advice or tips could you offer since you are 69 and thriving as a carnivore woman?
I give most of the credit to what I eat. You have to. And when you think about what I eat, so I'd mentioned earlier, I was a New York strip girl. Well, I've definitely gone over to the other side. I'm now a ribeye girl.
Ribeye, yes.
And ribeye and flank and ribs. And I get ribeye fat from the butcher and I fry that up or put it in a little pan and it cooks on the grill and I eat more of it with my steak. I go through a whole lot of butter. So fat is definitely, it's so counter to what we have been taught, but I can't say enough about it. And, I have friends that are like, oh, my God, you're putting butter in coffee? That's so gross. And I'm like, well, all I can tell you is it works for me. It works for me to do that. So
you're a coffee drinker?
I am a coffee drinker. Sorry, Raymond.
I know. Did you follow? Well, how was coffee when you were priming? Did you follow the coffee after?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? You cheated on that one too?
Yeah,
Okay,
I did. Okay, I'll be honest. Once or twice I managed to wait, but my problem has always kind of been I wasn't a breakfast eater. I didn't want to eat. So even on carnivores, like, oh, I gotta eat this now, but I'd have coffee first and then I'd have something. A couple times in the very early part of the first month, I thought, oh, you can wait and have your coffee. What I'm finding now, though, because now I'm just changing up things a little bit, just to kind of see where things go. I'm now having my coffee after I have something. And I just started this, yes, just about a week ago. Even if the only thing I can handle in the morning is a cup of bone broth, I'll have a cup of bone broth with about a tablespoon of butter added to it. I'll have that first, and then I will have my coffee. But for the most part, I've been having a couple eggs with something. And then I'll have my coffee. And lo and behold, Raymond, I'm finding out it's really hard to get that coffee.
In.
Wow.
So today was probably day 5 of that. And I had probably about 4 sips of my cup of coffee. And I'd messaged someone about going for a walk because we're having our first day of sunshine in probably 4 days here. And I'm like, let's go for a walk today. The sun's out. And she said, okay, I'm actually dressed. Can you come now? And I'm like, sure. Put my coffee to the side. We walked 3 miles, came back. I was doing some stuff. I noticed Bella had sent the questions, so I was kind of going through that. Anyway, I had 3 more sips of my coffee, and then it got cold, and I dumped it, and I haven't had any of the rest of it. So normally it's like, oh no, I've got to get that coffee in, but it's like, it's such a mental thing because that's what you're used to. You're used to having that coffee. So, but yes, so a little late in the programs, but I'm actually trying it now. But part of it is because I'm trying to add a third meal every day too. I want to see where that takes me in my weight loss, because I've gotten to a really decent weight, but I'd like to go a little bit further down and have a little bit more continued body recomp. So I'm going to try upping my calories again and adding a third meal and see where it takes me.
Miraculous that we can go ahead and eat more food and get better results. Yes.
It blows my mind. It blows anyone's mind when I try to tell them. And I do have because I have a lot of female friends and they're always commenting on my energy level and, oh my gosh, I hope I can look like you when I'm at that age and all this, but it never correlates to them. It's like, well, what is she doing? They know what I'm doing. My friends know I'm a carnivore. They know I have butter in my coffee. They know I eat ribeyes almost every day. They know I like to buy extra fat, but they won't take that and say, okay, well, then maybe I'll try that.
But how did you rewire your brain? Because I'm sure you used to be at that mindset where you thought you have to kill yourself exercising hard, right? Low fat, restrict calories, possibly. How did you rewire your brain to suddenly be like this?
I could suggest that everyone has a stress fracture in their foot and finds out they have to sit on their butt and do nothing. That would be the first thing.
You. I like that.
I mean, it's crazy. So I do have cardio bunny friends and they're always, oh, well, I've got to do this more. And it's like, no, you really don't. Do you remember my story? Do you remember me telling you I sat on my behind for 6 months and I lost 25 pounds ultimately? So anyway, but as far as my part of my mindset from the time I started gaining weight back in I had my children in my mid-30s. So obviously your weight gain kind of begins after that. And I was always one of these people that was, I will not go on a diet. I will not. Weight Watchers was popular. There's no way I'm going to pay someone for me to lose weight. They're not doing the work, And so anytime anyone would mention the new diet, I could not do that. It was an automatic negative in my mind. If I go on a diet, I know I will fail and I will gain more weight. So I was never a dieter. The only thing I ever did, I did file Dr. Atkins for a little while, but and that was probably in my early 30s or mid 30s maybe. And I was successful on that. But once you got to the point where you're starting to let carbs back in, but we didn't realize, of course, that's why then we all gained our weight back. Years later, I did Suzanne Summers. I followed her protocol. And what I have to say in hers, though, is because it was meat and vegetable and fat that could go together. And then carbs carbs were by themselves or something. And then fruit had to be separate. I was always still, even in that, following that, I was always really meat heavy. I was the one who went for the meat and the fat. So basically, and probably some vegetable in there. So really, I was kind of already doing ketovore. It just didn't have a name. And I didn't do fruit that often, but if I did, I kept it to the window that you were supposed to keep it in. But that's not what I was craving. What I was craving was always the meat.
Nice.
So that was successful for me. I probably lost 25 pounds on that. But as soon as I remember it was a birthday party. It was a first birthday or some big, I think it was a first birthday. And I decided I could have a piece of cake. And I did. And then from there, we probably went to the next holiday and I could have this or I could have that. Needless to say, I ended up putting all that weight back on. My highest weight was probably close to 175. And I was someone who just put on probably 2 to 5 pounds, 3 to 5 pounds every year as time went on. And then sometimes I'd lose a little, but I was really clicking toward that 175 much too easily.
And now with this lifestyle, though, there's no weight creep.
I may vary 3 to 5 pounds here and there, but for the most part, no, I've kind of hit a space and I stay there. And, like I said, occasionally I might be up a pound or two. And yes, I do check. Obviously, if I know my weight.
Right.
I have to admit, I will look at the scale. I have one of those bioimpedance scales that gives you all the different numbers. It tells you your bone density, supposedly it tells you your body fat and all that. And that's more the number I'm always looking at, is not so much the weight. I'm looking at that body fat number to see, and it supposedly gives you your visceral fat as well. So those are the numbers I kind of watch. And I'd like that visceral fat number to go to the next level down and remain there. I've had it get there, but then it tends to creep back up, and then it, and it's just tiny increments. So, but enough to, move you up. So I do, because I'm like a number junkie. I like to see that stuff.
How do you doctors feel about your change over the years? Are there concerns there, or how's that going?
Oh yeah, they got concerns.
Okay.
I actually had my blood work. So moving to Tennessee, I had to find all new doctors, and trying to find somebody here. I've tried 2 different ones in the fall of this year, and both of them. So the one ran my blood work for me, and even though I told him what I do, and he seemed very interested when we talked, I immediately get the phone call after the blood work comes in, and they said, "Oh my Lord, your LDL cholesterol is off the charts."
Yeah.
But I said, okay, but look at my triglycerides and look at my HDL, and let me tell you the improvement in those numbers. So it actually looks like I'm a lean mass hyperresponder, believe it or not. I fit that protocol. Okay. And as I continue in the carnivore journey and those numbers are really moving around, it looks like I might be one of those people. So I wrote these down because I think this is pretty dramatic. And I understand there's things that can affect your triglycerides. So my numbers from September of this year, my triglycerides are 68 and my HDL is 105. And my A1C is 5.5. Nice. Yes. I don't have any A1Cs to compare it to, because they don't do that normally on the other blood work. I specifically asked for that. But so my HDL from January of 2022, my HDL went from 75 to 105.
Wow.
My triglycerides in January of 22 were 309.
Wow, that's like a total reverse.
Crazy scary.
Right.
And my triglycerides are now 68.
What?
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Within a time period of how long?
Well, about a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Did you have any fatty liver? Is that why it was so high, triglycerides? What was going on?
I had never been told anything about fatty liver, but for years I have been getting the talk from the doctor, not the doctor, because they never call you, but they have their poor nurses be on the receiving end of my wrath after they talk about what I should and shouldn't be doing. I've been told on numerous occasions that I was pre-diabetic.
Oh, okay.
So so who knows where my A1C in those older, I just don't have those records because the systems have changed and I don't know. But at some point they must have been checking that, because I was told that on numerous occasions. And I was someone who, I didn't use sugar. I used sweet and low. Or artificial sweeteners. I did eat sweets occasionally, but again, that was never my big crave. My crave was potato chips and crackers and salty and savory things. So I would eat occasional sweets, but it wasn't something that I did all the time. But they'd always be telling me, you're on the borderline of being a diabetic. You need to stop eating so much sugar. Well, it wasn't the sugar. It was just all the other carb crap that I ate.
Right.
But again, they're not giving you the right information either.
Last time I was with you, Laura, you were doing all the dehydrated, salted kinds of things like this. These are so good. Amazing. We have them with our meals, not as snacks. We're not snackers anymore. But I'm just curious, did you try the recipe that is out there that people are saying tastes exactly like potato chips?
They are pretty darn close. Yes. It's pork loin. And you dehydrate that, cut it super thin. I use the Redmond's cherry smoked salt. I powder it. I run it through my coffee grinder, and then I use that. It's really powdery. I sprinkle that on and dry it. I can eat that as a meal. That's how good they are. That's how good they are. But yes, I have made them. I make a lot of dehydrated meat, but I also find that if I'm having it, I will occasionally, it's like, I'm hungry. I'll have a couple pieces of it, but mostly I just decide that's going to be my dinner.
Yes.
Right.
And that's what I have for dinner then. Because it's very satisfying. I can wander around and do whatever I want to do while I'm eating it. I can take it with me in the car, but it's really easy to have that and just have that be my meal. So, and it's very satisfying as well. So you don't overeat it.
Yeah, it has satiety. Meat has natural satiety built into it. And so it's going to get our insulin health going in the right direction, get you away from all that pre-diabetes and still finding amazing, delicious foods. Well, yes.
How do you not get tired of meat every single meal? How do you not want to crave something refreshing or sweet like a fruit?
It just doesn't come up. I have no desire for that. So I can't say, I do this or I do that, because it's just in your brain. You just don't have a desire for it. If I get bored with eating ribeyes, I will change to something like pork belly. Or maybe I go through a phase where I want to do chicken thighs for a while. And I have a recipe where it's tarragon cream sauce that I make to go over those chicken thighs. Something that it's like, oh, maybe I just don't crave beef. So I find something else, but it's funny because it tends to have to be a higher fat meal then. I find no satiation in fish. So I have fish or shellfish and that as a side with some kind of beef. If I just eat a piece of salmon, which, most people say, oh, I'm so stuffed. Well, sorry, not me. I need 6 ounces of beef to go with that.
Yes.
But it's just a natural progression, I feel. But I think so many people, at least so many of the women I've met in the community, still use some kind of artificial sweetener. And that's where I think they're holding on to these cravings that, oh, I just want that fruit, or I just want this. If you get that out, I believe 100% you can be successful in this, but they have to make that choice. And I just see this kind of as a continued pattern when I meet people, because I've been to many meetups now and retreats with carnivores. And I know quite a few people out there in the community now. I've met here in Tennessee, I've met New Jersey, Chicago, and everyone that seems to struggle, it seems to go back to they are allowing that sweeteners of some kind still. They're like, oh, I just have to occasionally have a Diet Coke. Well, no, you don't. And you shouldn't, because it's holding you back.
If you're new to this carnivore lifestyle and you are going through common adaptation symptoms like lower energy, fatigue, headaches, and muscle cramping, this could very well be an electrolyte imbalance. What you can do to troubleshoot is just salt a little bit more generously on all of your carnivore meals. And if that doesn't resolve the issues, you can lean on a high quality electrolyte supplement like this one. The brand that I recommend is Element, specifically their teal colored box labeled raw unflavored. This raw unflavored version has zero stevia, zero flavoring, simply just the 3 electrolytes that our body needs: sodium, potassium, magnesium, measured out for us. These are what each of the packets look like. Very easy to take on the go and travel with. You just rip one open, pour it in whatever beverage you're drinking, mix it up, drink it down, and you're good to go. If you would like a free sample pack with any purchase that includes the raw flavored in it, you can go to the URL shown on the screen, drinklmnt.com/SBGAL. And I've also linked them down below in the description box.
I had a client, she was just using a drop in her coffee, or a drop or 2 drops, and she gave it up, and within and she was like stubborn, like wouldn't lose weight, and it took like about a couple weeks, and all of a sudden she's like, I finally dropped some extra. So it was surprising to think that little would matter, but she was able to do it without craving anymore. But the thing is, it was holding back her healing also, because she had eye issues. And these eye issues actually started taking care of herself when she stopped the erythritol.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is for something that little. So it's enough poison to actually stop even the certain amount of healing. Obviously, she got a lot of healing from the carnivore with just using the drops, but when she took that out, it actually continued.
Physiological changes, and I think just the mental freedom, because it has its own hooks. It's a true addiction, and so I think there's a lot of confidence when they get through that and let that go.
Yeah, I do try to stress that with, the people who say, wow, you've had such good success. And what do you, it's like, well, are you doing this still? And they're like, well, yes. And I'm telling you, if you just get rid of that component, and then I push priming, because if they've got that craving and they can't control that, and I so understand that, because like I said, I built this monster out of nowhere, this craving monster. So I talk about priming. I've talked about it in other carnivore groups and other carnivore coaching groups. And they're like, well, what's priming? And so I explain it.
Do you get good feedback on that? I'm just curious when you talk about it.
For a week, they're going to be cramming themselves so they feel stuffed. I said, but here's the thing. It's going to go away. It's only going to last as long as your body needs those nutrients and that satiation. And then you're going to be like, oh, I really can't do that anymore. I said, and then you're moving down. You move away from it and you start eating less, and then you start intermittent fasting, and maybe you're keeping it to a certain window. But I just feel the priming is so powerful, so powerful.
Yeah. I've been at retreats with Laura before where we hear someone talking that needs that message, and Laura will start with them. She'll be like, Emily, come on over here. So it works really well if you bombard them with 2 people that are talking about priming, then they're interested all of a sudden. That's the secret.
Right. Yes, because there's somebody else that has done it, who's obviously vivacious and beautiful and, knows what they're talking about. They've lived it. And then when they, hear about Emily's weight loss too, even though priming was not part of that initially, but look where it's kept you too. Right. So, whether or not they follow through, that's what we don't know. But I talk about it whenever somebody is just lamenting the fact that they can't get past these cravings.
If somebody wanted to try out priming and they're completely new to the carnivore world, where can they learn about priming?
Oh, wow. So once a week, we teach it in our monthly challenge. It's a foundation of what we're doing. It's so foundational that we want to catch people that are joining at all different points during the month so that we can take the time to explain it in a way that they'll really understand it thoroughly and that they won't have the fears about it, that they'll understand what that process is like. So we really take everybody through it every Monday, step by step through that process. So I love that we have this tool that we return to again and again to help people with their health. It's great.
What is your favorite benefit out of going carnivore?
The favorite. Food freedom, definitely. Comes at the top of that list. You know what your body needs. You don't have to think about what you're going to cook or and even in social situations, I can always order a burger. I can always bring some kind of meat. We were out New Year's Eve. We went to dinner before we went to a big party, New Year's celebration at the yacht club here. They had prime rib. It was wonderful. I was happy. I was satiated. I could go on and dance the night away, and I did. So food freedom for sure. Obviously, the weight loss that I'd been chasing all through my 30s, 40s, 50s, I now have. I honestly and truly feel more energetic and younger at 69 than I did when I was 48. And
says a lot.
So it's this whole snowball effect of all good comes. I'm a much more positive person. I was always kind of that cup half empty person. Well, I could do this, but then this could happen, and then this could happen. And my mood is just so much like, oh, yeah, it's all good. Oh. Everything's going to be good. So all these things, joint pain. I mean, I'll just give you the whole list. There was a time I thought I was going to have a knee replacement. You know what? A lot of that left with the inflammation in my body. So, it's this whole snowball effect of all good.
Wow. Amazing.
And the friends that you've made.
And the friends that I've made. Definitely. Beautiful. I have to tell you, when I moved here to Tennessee, I went to this shortly after I moved here. I went to a retreat in Tennessee. That was where I first met Emily in person also. And of all people to meet the last day of the retreat, a woman here in the community who was also a carnivore. So that was my first friend in the community here. And everybody, they're like, oh, there's those two crazy carnivores. But here, what are the chances in all of Tennessee or Eastern Tennessee that I would actually somebody a mile down the road? And we've become very good friends, and we're always very gently trying to explain to our other friends that they would just add a little more fat, or they would just do this. They might not have this issue or that issue, but they smile at us and shake their head, and we go on. But they're very good about, still being our friends, even though we're the two crazy carnivores.
Thank you, Laura. That was awesome.
Awesome, Laura.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was so good to see you all. And thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you all so much for watching the video. I will make sure to link all of Laura's socials so you can connect with her down below in the description box. And after watching this video, if you are intrigued about priming and how to get started with this priming journey, you can access all the priming classes and weekly eating schedules taught by Coach Raymond and Coach Emily at the URL shown on the screen, sbgmeetup.com. And finally, I just wanted to wrap up by sharing something that I have been incorporating every single day, and that is wearing blue blockers. I wear these blue blockers every single day to protect my eyes from blue light. And since I'm always in front of screens like my laptop and my iPhone working and doing meetings, I always try to wear these blue blockers to protect my eyes from getting strained, irritated, and dry after a long day of work. Wearing blue blockers are also great if you want to improve your sleep quality. These red ones are maximum protection, and I highly recommend wearing these a couple hours before going to bed. This will help your body really unwind, calm down, and produce more melatonin so that you can sleep deeply and stay asleep at night. I'll make sure to link my favorite blue blockers from Bon Charge down below in the description box. Thank you again for watching. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notifications to not miss my future videos. I will see you in my next video. SVG out.